In your reading this week, you're going to hear the term college culture utilized. And so I wanted to just discuss briefly with you what we're referring to when we talk about college culture. The best way I can explain this to you is to let you know that I was a first-generation college student. You may also be a first-generation college student. If your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles never went to college before or graduated college, then you are a first-generation college student, the first in your family to go to college. Neither of my parents even graduated from high school. And what I found when I came to college was that I had no idea what I was doing. I ended up taking some classes that I didn't even necessarily need for my major. I didn't really understand about registration deadlines and things like that. And unfortunately, my parents, as well-intentioned as they were, couldn't really help me because they had never experienced college before. Even if you're not a first-generation college student, college can be really confusing and a little bit chaotic compared to maybe the high school environment that you're coming from, or maybe you did go to high school and you've been away from academics for a long time, or even a year or two, and coming back into it. And so it can be very disorienting at first. One aspect that will still be fairly familiar to most of you is that we're doing all of our classes for grades. But we now look at grade point averages to see if you're eligible for financial aid, how much financial aid you're eligible for. And so all of a sudden those grades matter in a way that they might not have in your high school. Then there's the aspect of having to register for classes every semester. You need to make sure you're aware of the deadlines to register, otherwise you're going to get stuck with the classes that nobody else wanted. And fortunately for you, in this class, we will actually have an assignment that's going to walk you through meeting with an advisor so that you have good, sound advice into what courses you should be registering for next semester. If you're recently coming from a high school situation, you may find that college feels like you have a lot more freedom than you ever did in high school. But along with freedom comes an awful lot of extra responsibilities that you may not have typically had to concern yourself with previously. And I always found coming into college felt like a really lonely experience. I was a community college student, although I attended all of my classes face-to-face. But even then, I felt oftentimes that we were a bunch of people in a building together, and yet I still felt very much alone. And I think as an online student, you can feel even more isolated, especially if you're taking all online classes, which is a possibility for you now, and that's convenient, but again, it can feel very lonely. Online courses also require an awful lot of self-motivation and self-discipline because when you've got an online class, you may not be able to turn your children off or your job or your boss off, but you can turn your computer off. So oftentimes online classes become the lesser priority in a person's life who has a lot of other responsibilities. The key to being a successful online student is going to be to dedicate time to sit down and actually work in your online courses, time where you're not being disturbed by other elements, family, jobs, things like that. And we know you have a lot of other responsibilities going on, but you've got to be disciplined and you've got to make sure that you're coming in regularly and logging in and doing the work in your online classes to be successful. Some of you may have even asked yourself, and I frankly won't be offended if you have asked, like, why do I even have to take this class? What do I need this class for? And the answer is that, especially again, if this is your first semester coming to college, there's a lot of things to wade through. And so this course is designed to help you be successful in your first semester. Here's a really sobering statistic for you. Of those students who enrolled this fall, About 25% of them will not return for classes in the spring. And that's not just at Harrisburg Area Community College, that is at community colleges across the country. There's another really sad statistic that between this fall and next fall, nearly half of all community college students will not be returning. And that's not because they transferred or because they graduated. That's because something stood in the way between the students and their success. So to answer the question, why do I have to take this course? I think a solid answer is that I know for me personally as your instructor, I want you to become a successful student and not a statistic. So I hope that you will find things very useful in this course as we go along. Some of it might be more review or things you feel are unnecessary, but I think you will find some value in a lot of the assignments and activities that we do. Thank you.